Hi, everyone. My name is Catherine Long. I'm the higher education reporter here at the Seattle Times, and welcome to our Google Hangout. Today we're going to be talking about how to successfully navigate Washington's community colleges, and this is sort of riffing on a story I wrote a week and a half ago about Walla Walla Community College, which has gotten national recognition both for the way it connects its programs to the local economy in Walla Walla, and also the way it really works so well to help students cross the finish line when they enter community college and finish their degree or whatever program that they're involved in. Today I have with me Kayla, who is a 13th year Promise Scholarship student at Seattle or South Seattle College, trying to edit out the community because it's no longer a community college. Chris, who's a student at Lake Washington Institute of Technology, and Jan Yoshiwara, who's, I believe her title is Deputy Executive Director of Education at the State Board for Community and Technical Colleges. That's Washington State's community college system, which covers all 34 community and technical colleges. And I'd like to start by asking our students a little bit about a little bit more about who they are and why they've gone back to community college. Maybe starting with you, Chris, since you're on my screen right now. Tell me a little bit about what you were doing before you started at Lake Washington, and why you chose to go there, and what you plan to do when you finish.
Well, I spent 30 years as a journeyman plumber, and I had my own company started. And when the economy hit the wall a few years ago, so did my company, and it was just, I couldn't keep it floating. So I found Lake Washington and got retrained and been training for video and web design.
And how far along are you in the program right now?
I'm in my 6th quarter.
6th quarter.
Yeah, I'm beginning my 6th quarter next month. Yeah.
And I take it you've looked at the job prospects out there, and you feel like this is a pretty good place to be aiming.
Yeah, they required the workman's compensation, the unemployment office, required the students to do background checks on what the outlook is for different employment opportunities. So I looked up, there was all kinds of growth opportunities in web and any kind of internet design and programming and whatnot. And since I had an artistic background, I always loved art, I decided to go for the artistic side, the front end of things. So I went into the design aspect. And it's future growth. It's where it showed where plumbing at the time was decreasing. It showed that anything that had to do with web and design or anything like that was on the increase, and they projected it for several years. So that's why I chose, one of the reasons I chose.
Okay, great. And Kayla, tell me a little bit about what you're studying there at South Seattle, and also can you talk a little bit about the 13th year Promise Scholarship? I know that scholarship is available to students only at a couple of high schools in Seattle, and tell me what that does for you.
So the 13th year is kind of like they call it like a gateway into college. So they offer you your first year for free, and you have to do a few workshops. I think it's like 3 a quarter that we do, but it's really helpful. They're like resume building workshops, transfer workshops, and they have a lot of like alumni come in and talk to us. And it's offered at Chief South, where I went, and it's at Cleveland, and I believe they're also going to Rainier Beach soon, and possibly West Seattle, so they're kind of trying to get like all the Seattle public schools into it. I never even knew about it. I transferred to South my junior year of high school, and I found about it like mid-senior year, and the lady who runs it, her name's Letty, at my school, and she was like, you have to do, like, this is a great opportunity. Even if you don't go, it's like a fallback, because a lot of kids think that they're going to get into all of their schools and whatnot. And I don't know, I thought that was the best opportunity. I mean, I want to major in business, so I saw this as my first business opportunity, a free year of school,
Right.
which is great. And I don't know, it's really helpful. My advisor, Chase, who runs through it, he meets with us every quarter to make sure we're on track and whatnot. And yeah, it's a great program. I never thought I'd be in it. If you asked me last year, I wouldn't have, but now I wouldn't want it any other way.
Huh. Very interesting. So shifting to Jan, I wanted to ask you a little bit about, ask you to give us some advice here. For a first-time student, either somebody who's just graduated from high school and is entering a community college for the first time, or maybe an adult like Chris who's going back to school, what kind of steps do you recommend to make sure your community college experience goes well? My impression is that all the community colleges are all kind of a little bit different from each other, and the programs at Walla Walla were really very, very specifically tied to getting students through the system, and some of those things are not at other community colleges. And what would you recommend?
Well, you know, Walla Walla is obviously an outstanding college. They won a national award for being an outstanding community college, and so some sets of those services are available at all of the colleges in our system. But I think Walla Walla is unique in one of the strengths that Walla Walla has is they had a very comprehensive set of services. But in terms of students starting at one of our colleges, I think the key thing to do is to find an advisor, to find a person that you can connect with who can help you navigate through all of the enrollment, financial aid, advising, and career advice processes at the college. It is, I think for most new college students, you don't know it until you've done it. And so if you can make a connection to someone at the college who can point you in the right direction and help you with all your questions, that is probably the best single starting thing to do. And you know, I'd be really interested in hearing from the students about how you got started and what made a difference for you as well.
Yes, Kayla and Chris, can you talk about, have you found that a great advisor at your college, or have you been able to figure some things out on your own?
Go ahead, Kayla.
My advisor right now, she's through our TRIO program. We got set up with them, and I really like her. She's very helpful. What she'll do is for like our transfer schools, what she does, like I want business, so she'll take me through like the Foster School of Business websites through UW, because that's like the top school to go to for that. So she'll go through and she'll show me like all the credentials and stuff I need so I can make sure I'm doing everything now for when I transfer. And I kind of have two advisors since I'm in the 13th year, which is Chase too, who's also very helpful. If I have any questions, like I know I can go to him to ask him anything.
And Chris?
I had the opportunity to come to Lake Washington just by word of mouth, and when I came here, I talked to advisors and in the counseling department here, and they had scheduled me to come in and actually meet with the retraining program here, which they have every week. I believe it's just once a week. They go through if you meet the criteria, and if everything falls into place, then they give you all the opportunities you need. And from that point on, it was TRIO, and I've had several different advisors just because they all kind of like take part in it. So they pretty much laid everything out for me when I came here. They made it very easy for me and gave me all the information I needed, and really took me by the hand and guided me through all of the processes, and even the things I didn't understand that I thought was overwhelming at the time. They just reassured me it was no problem, and they just helped me through every step of the way. So
That's great.
Yeah, it's been a very good experience, very good experience.
Right. So going back to Jan again, I I know in doing the story, one of the things that Walla Walla really emphasized was getting students to make a decision early on about what career path they want to follow, because drifting around in a community college without completely knowing what you want to, what your end goal is going to be, can cause you to take some classes you don't really need and waste some time. And I know that they have a subscription to something called Career Coach, which is I think a private proprietary thing. I actually had a lot of fun typing into Career Coach what could I do if I got a tractor degree, a degree in fixing tractors. Where would I go? And the whole thing showed me all these various places within 100 miles where I could go to get a job fixing tractors. But for a community college student who doesn't know what they want to do with their education, and maybe if the college isn't really pointing them in a direction just yet, what do you recommend for them to narrow down the options and decide what they want to do?
Well, that's a really good question, because a lot of students do come without some kind of a concrete plan, and many students come to college with the idea of exploring, especially in their first year, and trying out different kinds of courses and to see what to develop their interests. So I think that the advice that I would have is that most of our colleges offer an orientation. Some of our colleges have mandatory orientation for new students, and they also have some version of a college success course. And so these are courses that you can actually take in your first quarter of college, and career exploration is a part of that course. So it's an opportunity for you to get some resources that the college has to offer to help you think about what your strengths are and what your interests are, and how to pursue those interests. By taking certain programs at the college.
Okay, good. Anything that Chris or Kelly you want to add to that?
They do have a program here where it's a career path, and I believe it's offered a couple times a month, and you can just drop in. They advertise it on the email and on the website for the school, and I think anytime during your schooling you can stop in there and ask questions, or if you want to change up anything, you have the opportunity there to do so.
I'd say at least a couple times a year they always offer undecided workshop type things, or undecided major workshops, so students can go through and they show you like all the online resources that can give you like the career test to see where you're set up to be. So I think those are helpful if you don't know.
Kayla, I'm interested also in knowing a little bit about students from you went to South, as I recall?
Yes.
So the students who are doing the 13th year, your peers, what has been their sort of their thought as they go on to this 13th year in community college? Do many of your friends know that what they want to do in college, and how are they trying to figure this out? Is it through the college itself, doing these exploratory programs, or how do you decide what you want to do when you graduate?
I don't know, it's kind of hard. I would say one of the big things is like support. A lot of my counselors at high school they knew us really well, so they'd sit down and they'd be like, where do you really see yourself? And then we had she works for the trio at the high school, and she was telling all of us you should really apply for South Seattle, going on and on about that. And I think it's just mainly the support that we've gotten through that. And then being here now, like one of my best friends is here with me, and she's known forever that she's in the nursing program. She wants to be an RN, like delivery nurse, and we have the same advisor here, and she sits her down and we go through, we've had a lot of meetings together, and we go through and she sits down and she explains everything that we need to get done and what we need to get on the right track to graduate. And I think it's just the support that's really helpful to know what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. And going back to Jan, one of the things that I've heard from community college students, not recently, but going back a couple of years, they would often say they went to community college with the idea of getting their associate's degree and transferring into a four-year program for their bachelor's, and found that quite a number of their courses did not transfer, and so that they lost those credits. I know the state has done some work in recent years to try to fix that, and the one thing I'm specifically familiar with is a direct transfer agreement program. I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about what the state has done to try to improve that transferability of the community college credits to the four-year schools.
Sure. Well, we've been working on this for many years, and actually in Washington State, we're a little above the curve as far as our transfer agreements with universities. We have very strong transfer agreements. We're one of the leading states in the country around having a direct transfer agreement, which spells out the types of courses and actually lists courses in each of the discipline areas that will transfer to a university. And if a student receives an associate transfer degree, then the universities have agreed to accept all 90 of those credits and not to kick out certain courses that are not exactly the same as the courses that they have. So this is a very good and positive arrangement between the community colleges and the universities. I think the place where students have gotten had not had their expectations met in terms of the transferability courses are in two areas. So one is with technical courses, that the universities have a hard time accepting courses that in programs that they don't offer. Mm-hmm. So, for example, you were exploring tractors, and so if you took courses at Walla Walla in their John Deere program, and as an example, and then wanted to transfer to the University of Washington and expected all those tractor maintenance courses to transfer to the University of Washington, they probably wouldn't all transfer. Some of them would transfer as electives, but once you fill up the elective bucket, the rest of them won't transfer. So I think that's a bit of a misunderstanding that students sometimes have about the transferability of technical courses. The other area where students can get tangled up is if they are planning to go into a major that is competitive at a university that has specific prerequisites. So, for example, about 10 years ago, one of the areas through some data analysis and tracking that we found out that students were having a hard time with is if they wanted to major in science or a STEM area, mm-hmm. that the direct transfer agreement did not allow for students to take enough freshman and sophomore level math and science courses, because the direct transfer agreement spells out how many credits you take in social science and in humanities and in math and in science. And if you're going to be a science major, you actually have to take fewer social science and humanities courses and more math and science courses to be prepared for a university major. And so we collectively with the universities designed a new transfer degree called the Associate of Science transfer degree that moves the balance of courses that a student would take as freshmen and sophomores more towards math and science and less towards humanities and social science. We have built these kinds of transfer degrees in other fields like business. I think, Kayla, you mentioned that you are planning to be a business major. Business is one of the largest fields that our transfer students pursue, so you've got lots of company in wanting to major in business, and we actually have worked with the universities to construct a specific business transfer degree that includes microeconomics, macroeconomics, business law, business calculus, and I'm sure courses that your advisor is working with you on taking in order to be prepared to enter into a business school at a university. So we still hear stories from time to time about courses not transferring, but I think that we're trying to be much more transparent ourselves and with the universities. And we have identified particular majors where students tend to accumulate a lot of credits on their way to a bachelor's degree, which means that they're not taking quite the right stuff, and to create specific pre-major transfer degrees in those areas.
So that's something we'll continue to see develop as time goes on, then, sounds like.
Yes, right. We have a new one that's in the works right now in the area of music and performing arts. So again, that's an area where if you're going to major in that, get a bachelor's degree in music or in the performing arts, that there's a whole set of classes that you should take as a freshman and a sophomore in order to be competitive to get into those majors at a university. And so we have a work group that's just being convened that has university representatives from the music and performing arts programs and from the community colleges, and together we're going to build a associate transfer degree specifically for those majors.
And it sounds like, Kayla, you were talking earlier about how it sounds like you went through the Foster School of Business courses, and you were, with your advisor, making sure that the classes you're taking there at South Seattle College were going to sync up with what you would need to take at the Foster School?
Yes, we went through University of Washington and also looking at Western University, so we looked at those, and the majority of all the schools I've looked at have transfer equivalency guides, so you can type in like our classes offered at South, and then they tell you what the equivalency is at university. So they're really helpful.
So again, it sounds like knowing what you want out of your community college experience and getting a good advisor, and then using all these tools that are out there can really help you speed you on your way.
Definitely.
And Chris, going back to you are actually getting an applied baccalaureate. Even though you're going to a technical college, you will end up with, as I understand it, the equivalent of a 4-year degree.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, they have a Bachelorette of Technical Applied Design, and that includes students from different areas, welding, programmers, even I don't believe business or nursing or the medical field is in with that, but they're opening up more bachelorettes here. For one isn't going to be in medical, and I think there's one starting this fall that's going to be in automotive, so they can actually have a bachelorette for that.
And going back to Jan, I know that's something that so many of the community colleges are doing, more and more of these applied bachelor's degrees, which is also the reason why many of them are dropping the word community from their titles, from their names.
So yes, we got legislative authority to offer applied baccalaureate degrees in 2007 from the legislature, and so I think these are unique degrees for our students, because what we noticed about 10 years ago is that students who are like Chris, who are pursuing technical degrees at the associate level or at the baccalaureate level, but our students, many of our students are very job skills oriented. They're very clear. They're coming to college because they want to change careers or to get a career, and they know that getting an education credential is an essential part of pursuing the career that they want to pursue. And what we found was that we have a good transfer system for students earning transfer degrees, associate transfer degrees, and we have not had a good transfer system for students who are earning technical degrees. And we previously had thought about technical degrees as terminal, that you come and you take that degree and you're finished. But people grow in their careers and their aspirations, and if a bachelor's degree is required in order to move up in your career, then it's tough. If you're a working person, you're place-bound, you have kids at home, you have a job, and so it's difficult to pick up and go to a university to do that completion part. And so what our colleges have been very successful at doing is building programs off of their associate degree, technical associate degree strengths, and to create a baccalaureate completion program for people who want to go into specific skilled areas. And so I think that's exactly what Chris is describing, that he is doing at Lake Washington Institute of Technology. Both by coincidence, both South Seattle College and Lake Washington Institute of Technology are among the colleges that have applied baccalaureate degrees.
Mm-hmm. One final question, which I'll ask Jan. I think we're getting close to our ending time here, but I wanted to have you just describe really quickly some of the things that have been mentioned here. The worker retraining money, how someone who's interested in some sort of retraining, how they go about finding out about those options. And of course, the 13th year Promise Scholarship is only available at a couple of Washington, at Seattle high schools specifically, but there's also the college-bound scholarship money, which can be another way for especially someone who's low income and has a certain sort of meets a certain criteria and is signed up in 8th grade or 7th grade, I believe, 7th and 8th grade, can get money to go back to college that way. I wonder, Jan, if you could really quickly summarize those two programs for us.
Sure. So worker retraining is a program that was funded by for our system by the legislature. I want to say it's been at least 15 years that we've had this program. And it is aimed at people who are unemployed and who are unemployment insurance eligible and who need new skills in order to get back into the job market. And I think Chris gave the perfect example of what the worker retraining program is designed for. It's designed for people whose jobs are actually shrinking in the labor market and not growing. And so it's hard to go back to work unless you can get some new skills in a growing occupation. So the program provides some financial assistance for the students so that you can have some resources to pay for the cost of tuition and books and transportation to go to school. It also provides some money for the college to build up capacity to offer more courses and programs in high demand occupations. The way you find out about it is every college has a worker retraining coordinator. So Chris, I don't know if that's somebody who you crossed paths with, but there's somebody at each college who's responsible for administering and signing students up for the worker retraining program. So I just want to back up and say that I think every college has the kinds of resources that Chris and Kayla are talking about. And you two are very successful students. You figured out how to navigate the college and how to take advantage of all the different opportunities that the college has to offer. I think part of the challenge for us is because we have half of our students are part-time, a third of our students are parents, 45% of our students work. People are really busy. And so it's hard for them to spend the time to figure out what resources are available. So many of our colleges are moving to a more mandatory orientation, a more intrusive advising system that connects the students with those services, because not everybody is as assertive and well organized as Kayla and Chris are. So I think our colleges are moving much more strongly in the direction of pushing students to connect with the services, the support services that are available. The other thing that you asked me to talk about is the College Bound Scholarship Program. And this is a terrific program that our state has had in place. And essentially, it's that students sign up, low-income students can sign up in the 8th grade for this scholarship, and it's kind of like a deal, a two-way deal. And the two-way deal is that the student promises to finish high school, get a C with at least a C average, and to take college prep courses to the extent that they can, and to stay out of trouble. And if they do all those things by the time they graduate high school, then the promise is that they will have tuition scholarships available to them to pay for going to college. And so it's kind of an agreement that you make when you're young, that you do your end and the state will do their end in terms of providing you with some financial support. So it's a very popular program, and every year a greater percentage of the eligible students have signed up for this program. Our colleges have lots of other scholarship opportunities. There's opportunity grants. There are local scholarships that are provided by foundations, like the 13th year scholarship is a entirely South Seattle Foundation fundraising activity, and colleges have other kinds of program-specific scholarships. So I think the key thing is to connect with the college to find out about the opportunities.
Okay, great. Any last quick words from Kayla or Chris on the availability of money and doing your research?
Kayla, go ahead.
I would just say do your research. I actually got another foundation scholarship through Safeco Endowed Scholarship, so I have my next year paid for as well.
That's great.
My parents have always told me to get scholarships, and I've been too lazy, but now that I'm here, I'm getting them. So.
They offer out here where they will help you even write for scholarships here, so they always are giving us information on what's coming up. They always email us and give us the opportunity to come in and meet with them and tailor your letter, your application for whatever scholarships you're available for. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's great.
It's good. What was the name of the scholarship that Jan, you were talking about, with the students that are in 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade?
College Bound.
College Bound, okay.
Yes.
All right, good.
You have children or grandchildren, they should look into that.
I have nieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, that need to get into that. Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Okay, great. Well, thanks all for joining us, and I think this has been a great conversation. So good luck in your endeavors, both of our students.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you for your time.